Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance. Welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 80th episode of our Feat series. That's right, 80 full episodes. I think it's technically more than that, because if you're not super familiar with the telekinetic and the telepathic feats, this is their third iteration. By Wizards of the Coast. They've been in Unearthed Arcana twice now, and they've been kind of themed a little bit differently both times, I guess, but they've been for the most part the same. This is their final iteration. They were meant to kind of be like this weird bridge into psionics at one point, but it was too messy, man. So I'm actually relatively in favor of these simpler versions, and I have mixed feelings about psionics in general, but it seems like Wizards of the Coast is staying away from them for the most part, or just using them in very subtle ways. In any case, today we're going to be going over Telekinetic, which is found in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. There's 3 Telekinetic videos now in this series, so you can see that progression if you want. If you do want to check out the full series, you can do so by either clicking on that little eye icon up top there, or waiting until the end of the video and clicking on one of the end screens. One of them will be labeled Feats. In any case, let's dive right into its description here. So right off the bat, you get +1 to intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, which is really nice, and you're gonna want to make a mark on which ability score you go with, because it is pretty important for later on, as we'll of course get into. And the rest reads as followed. You'll learn the Mage Hand cantrip. You can cast it without verbal or somatic components, and you can make the Spectral Hand invisible. If you already know this spell, its range increases by 30 feet when you cast it. Its spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat, so intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. As a bonus action, you can try to telekinetically shove one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. When you do so, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw, and the DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus, plus the ability score you improved using this feat, or be moved 5 feet towards or away from you. A creature can willingly fail this save. That's really cool. So there's, of course, a couple things going on here. We'll get into them a little bit more in the walkthrough, but a couple things I want to break down while I have this pulled up. +1 to ability score, really simple. This augments the Mage Hand cantrip quite a bit. So in addition to being able to cast it, you do so essentially component free, so it's an at-will thing now, and you can make the hand invisible. Usually it's spectral. A lot of people think it's invisible initially. It's not. You can see it. It's just kind of like a ghostly hand thing, so bear that in mind. And then if you already have Mage Hand, it bumps its range up another 30 feet, which is super impressive. That being said, it still does require line of sight, so bear that in mind as well. In any case, it's really neat. And then you can, of course, shove or pull people to and from you, respectively, by using the DC of 18 plus your proficiency plus your ability modifier. And it doesn't say there's any components to this, so it's assumed it's kind of an at-will thing as well, and you can do it pretty much whatever, and it is a bonus action, so it's really good. It's really good. Now let's move on to the walkthrough here. So to really simplify it down, really as simple as you can get, +1 to intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. Cast Mage Hand without somatic or verbal components, and it is completely invisible. As a bonus action, you can push or pull a creature at 5 feet away or towards you. And the DC for that is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus the selected modifier. And the selected modifier is based off of what you chose via your ability score improvement, so intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. And I know what a lot of you are thinking with regards to the pushing and pulling effect. It's only 5 feet, Chance. It's not that big of a deal, right? No. Well, yes and no. 5 feet can be a huge deal when you're dealing with environmental factors like cliffs or traps, and it can also be a pretty big factor when you're dealing with spell effects that are based on specific distances. Good example would be Glyph of Warding or even Snare. That being said, however, that's not the way I think most people are going to use it, and it's not the best way to use it in my opinion either, because 5 feet in the grand scale of a combat, not necessarily a big deal. However, actually, you know what? Let's just get to my personal thoughts before I start rambling here. So as I alluded to earlier, yeah, you can do it on creatures. Opposed to you, it doesn't really make a huge difference. Where it really makes a difference is when you're dealing with moving allies. Why would you want to use this on an ally, I hear you say? Well, it's a fair question because it's not immediately apparent. The secret is how opportunity attacks work, or attacks of opportunity. Forced movement does not proc an attack of opportunity, and I get the distinct feeling that's how most people are going to use this. In terms of who benefits the most from this spell, it's kind of a toss-up. I want to say the wizard gains a lot from this, but at higher levels their bonus action is super important to them, so who knows whether or not they'll go with this. However, a rogue on the other hand really might benefit from this. Now, I know rogues get their roguish stuff for bonus actions. However, that being said, if you're in a dicey scenario and you're already hidden and one of your allies is in danger, this is a good way to move them out of the way, and through extension out of danger. Also, if you're setting traps or things of that nature, that movement will really help you out there. And as it relates to the Arcane Trickster, I get it. You already have Mage Hand. Sweet. And your Mage Hand's already completely invisible. Sweet. So this feat doesn't really help you out in either of those regards. But where it does help you out is with that boosted range. If you're unfamiliar with the Arcane Trickster, they get an augmented Mage Hand, and they can do a bunch of cool stuff with it. So they can stow an object, they can retrieve an object, they can use thieves' tools via the hand and disarm traps at range. Really cool stuff. That being said, this extra range and the ability to cast it essentially component free is dope. So you can cast it 60 feet away, you're already hidden. The intelligence is your spellcasting modifier, so you boost your intelligence in the process. It's pretty dang sweet. And on top of that, you gain the ability to control the battlefield in a way that rogues usually just don't have access to. That being said, will your rogue take it? Maybe, maybe not. That being said, however, that +1 to intelligence is very useful to the Arcane Trickster, especially as they get up there in levels and they start to use their illusion magic more frequently, because for them, they don't have a lot of spell slots, so every time they cast it, they want the best odds of succeeding at it. That being said, it's kind of a weird balance. You really don't want to mess up, and you don't want them to succeed on that DC, so the higher you can get your spell save DC, the better. That being said, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down beneath in the comment section. I might be totally off the mark, but this would complement a lot of my plays very well, so I am speaking from personal bias. But let me know what you think, if there's any metas or ideas you want to try out, as well as if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns. And if you'd like to get a free one-shot, check out the Guild Hall, use code WELCOME, it's all yours. In addition to that, hope you guys have a great day, and as always, happy adventuring.